We're now going to be hearing from the candidates for Fire Commissioner for Fire District 3. Fire District 3 provides fire service to the eastern part of Clallam County, from the Clallam-Jefferson County line to just east of Deer Park Road. It is governed by a board of 3 commissioners who are elected at large to a 6-year term. The Board of Commissioners guides strategic planning for the district, sets service levels, determines the type and level of funding for the district, and approves budgets and tax levies. The Fire Commissioners are the policy-making body for the fire district, and they hire and fire the chief. Commissioners earn a per diem of $114 a day for those days when they are attending meetings or conducting fire district business. The 2 candidates for Fire Commissioner appearing tonight were the top vote getters in the August primary. They'll have up to 1 minute each for opening remarks. Then we'll take your questions for about 15 minutes, and then they will state their closing remarks for up to 1 minute. As was the case with our previous panels, we've asked these candidates to answer the following questions in their opening remarks. What are your qualifications for serving as a fire commissioner? What are your primary goals for your first year in office? And how do you intend to address the key issues confronting Fire District Number 3? In the order they filed for office, we'll begin with Michael Golly, who is retired from the Federal Aviation Administration after 32 years as an air traffic controller. He moved to Sequim in 2005. He became a volunteer with Fire District 3 in 2007, and in 2008 he obtained his emergency medical technician certification. He was appointed to the Board of Commissioners of Fire District 3 in 2014, and he continues to serve as a senior firefighter at the Dungeness Station. Mr. Golly?
Yeah, well, thank you for coming here. I see the crowd is thinning out a little bit, so I especially appreciate you folks sticking around. As was mentioned, I joined the fire department about 8 years ago, and shortly thereafter became an emergency medical technician. I've been a commissioner now for almost 2 years and attended approximately 40 board meetings plus special meetings that we've had for unique circumstances. During the time I've been serving with the department, I have attended literally hundreds of medical calls. I live in Sunland, and we have an aging population out there, so they keep me very busy, but it's very gratifying to show up and help out. I am getting too old to climb a ladder with a running chainsaw anymore, so I've sort of found my home on the Board of Commissioners. I like to think that I can work well with the folks, and we're working with very smart people, and I'm seeing the stop sign. So.
Thank you. Sean Ryan has lived in Clallam County for 21 years. He has owned and operated a business. He has funded scholarships for fire district volunteers. He also regularly takes business management and leadership courses. Mr. Ryan?
Hello. Thanks for attending and sticking around. I've lived here 20 years, and this is a great place to live. Everybody here really, really works hard, and that's what I want to do for the people of Clallam County, especially Fire District 3, where I've been a volunteer for almost going on 9 years, and it's really given me the opportunity to meet a lot of people, do a lot of great things, just really actually leave parts of me all over the county. I mean, it is such a gratifying job to be a volunteer. And I just want to bring that to the commission, to actually care about the community is a big deal to me. It really, really is. Thank you.
We'll now be going to audience questions, so if you have something you would like to ask, if you would come up and line up by Barbara. You have 30 seconds to ask your question, and the candidates will have up to 1 minute to answer each question.
Hi, I'm Donnie Holligan. This is much more than a 1-minute question, but to me it seems like the District 3's biggest problem is the inability to recruit a sufficient number of volunteers. I hear that some fire stations aren't fully manned due to this deficiency. Where do you stand on how to fill that gap, and where do you stand on perhaps increasing the ratio of professionals to volunteers?
Would you like a specific candidate to start that? Okay, well, we'll go with Mr. Golly first.
Okay, great question. It's one I've asked myself several times. We pick up about 10 volunteer recruits every year, and during the year we lose about 10. Some have valid reasons, some move away, some just lose interest, some have job and family demands. What I have suggested doing is a more careful screening of volunteers. I would rather have 5 volunteers that stay with us for a long time than 10 volunteers who are going to drop out in a year or two. Also, I have encouraged a more comprehensive exit interview to find out exactly why these volunteers left and see if we can't correct that problem. Volunteers are a very important part of the department, and we're going to try to get as many as we can.
Mr. Ryan?
I think that we need an incentive for the volunteers to, being one myself, that was passed by the exiting chief, that we look to get insurance fund some kind of medical insurance for the volunteers. Would help a lot, because most of the volunteers have regular jobs just like I do, and we pay for our own health insurance. And I think that if we made an incentive a little bit more for these volunteers, we could keep them. And it is true, we don't have anybody up at Dungeness. We have guys that it sits there vacant. Nobody, I mean, we probably go there and check the rigs, but that's all we do. We need more career paramedics on the ground right now, today.
Do either of you wish to respond or rebut what you've heard on this question?
Okay, I'll field that last statement there about needing more paramedics. Right now, we're in good shape. You people are well protected, and the idea of putting more paramedics on the street may make for a convenient slogan for campaigning. But please be advised that with benefits and salary, to put, say, 4 paramedics on the roll now would be almost $500,000 a year, and that's money out of your pocket. This has to be paid for.
Mr. Ryan?
Okay, so right now, if there is a structure fire in downtown Sequim, next door here, and there is an automobile wreck on 101, we don't have anybody to go. We end up getting volunteers. I personally have been called out on it. I think it was as a seizure, and it turned out to be somebody had a heart attack and wasn't breathing. And you know, we were dispatched volunteers to that. I mean, we need more people now. We cannot afford not to have them. And if it's a matter of money, okay, stop.
Related to that question, I do have something that you might want to comment on, and that is that many residents of Fire District 3 have seen significant increases in their insurance premiums because of a shortage of trained volunteers to staff your local fire stations. Are you concerned about this situation, and if so, what do you think the district should do about it? Mr. Ryan, would you take that one first?
What I think you're talking about is Lost and Mountain, where the poor people up there, their insurance rates have doubled because there's no coverage up there. We have a station up there, but we don't have any volunteers to staff it. So coming up with a plan of rotating some new guys in there and out there, just to have somebody there would help the insurance rates up there for those people a lot. but bringing more career personnel on would help everybody's insurance rates. And if we do that, I mean, we have 4 chiefs and probably 37 people. So that's, you know, what, 7 chiefs, 1 chief for 7 guys? I mean, we're way overstaffed up top. We are so top heavy. Everybody's a captain or lieutenant there. There's hardly any workers. I mean, they're all officers. So there's no reason that we can't find 4 paramedics, or 2 actually, very simply.
Mr. Golly?
Well, here again, I contest the statement that we're short on paramedics. We have 21 paramedics, which I have talked to paramedics who say we need more firefighters if we hire anything. They feel like we have an excess. The folks at Lost Mountain, I'm very sympathetic towards them, and they need to be assured that we will send everything we can up there in the event that there is an incident. But we try to recruit volunteers from the Lost Mountain area to man that station, and we had 1 individual express an interest, and he backed out at the last minute. So we've tried very hard to get things going. Lost Mountain's a unique situation. The roads are narrow, they're steep, they're difficult to get around on. There are no fire hydrants up there. So we will do everything that we can, but manning that station up there full-time is simply not feasible.
Do either of you wish to further comment on what has been said on this question?
Yes, I think we could set up some kind of a rotation where it's manned at least 12 hours a day. It would help. Yes, it is very hard to get up there, and I've been on fires up there, and I'm sure Mike has too. It's very difficult, but something has to be done. I mean, we are actually to the point where we can't handle all the calls the way they are. They happen, and they just happen right in a row. They don't take times, they just come.
Mr. Golly, anything else?
Right now, we're approaching over 6,000 calls in the whole district, and we're serving them very well. We have backup plans, we have alternate plans, we have mutual aid on both sides of our district. We have volunteers, we have callback. The concept of just simply throwing more bodies on the payroll isn't necessarily a good one. We have a budget to maintain, and we have to stay within those confines.
Looks like you have a card there, Barbara. Can you read it?
2 cards. This is for both candidates. Mr. Ryan has coined the phrase boots on the ground. What does that mean, and what will that cost the taxpayers?
That means hiring more firefighter paramedics. They can do both. We don't need 4 chiefs. We have 4 chiefs, and they're all making over $105 or something $1,000 each. You could just eliminating the waste that we use. We have armed paramedic gear that we can't even use. Just eliminating the waste, we can get 2 to 3 paramedics in the budget that we currently have immediately.
Mr. Golly?
Well, I think the idea that we have too many chiefs and not enough boots on the ground is just simply not true. In today's age, we have a very complex department. We have standards we have to meet, set by the county, set by the state. There are federal standards. We run a lot of equipment. We have a lot of training. There is a lot of stuff going on, and I see that all the time when I attend these meetings. These guys are very busy. We did cut back on 1 training officer and moved his duties over to one of the assistant chiefs. And I think right now, all 4 of those guys are very, very busy setting up the department and keeping things running smoothly. It's a difficult job.
You have another question?
What are the differences between you and your opponent?
Mr. Golly, I think it's your turn to start.
Okay, I think the differences are, I've tried to be involved for several years with the department now, simply because I love the department, I love the way it works, I love working for the people and protecting you folks. We have a very solid, secure department now. We're moving with the times. We're not trying to get ahead of the times. We're not trying to dump a lot of personnel on the payroll. As the need to add people comes along, we will do that. We're very careful with our funding, and we try to plan accordingly. I don't think that that we can arbitrarily just throw people out there and say everything's going to be better, because there's a lot of stuff involved in keeping this department running smoothly, and we're very proud of where we're at right now.
Mr. Ryan?
I think the difference is that I view it totally different than he does. When you have 4 chiefs looking over 37 people, it just doesn't work. They just got rid of a payroll lady that made a mistake. She legitimately made a mistake of $15,000 in their federal withholding or the L&I or something. And instead of just getting rid of them, they placed her on admin leave, created an investigation. She didn't even do anything. She made a mistake. The department is so scared of being sued. It runs. The people are wonderful there. It just needs a new, fresh look at how to run the department. It's just we are different in that. I agree.
Is there another question?
Oh, Candace Pratt, and I'm confused. Because you say you have 21 EMTs, and you say you've got 4 chiefs, but you don't need 4 more EMTs. How many shifts do you have, and how many do you have on a shift? And what do all the 4 chiefs do?
Who would you like to answer that first?
Both of them.
Okay. We'll start with Mr. Ryan.
I think there's 21 paramedics, and then the rest are firefighter EMTs. I don't know what the 4 chiefs do. I actually don't. I don't know how they can fill their day 8 hours a day, or 10 hours a day, or whatever it is with 4 of them. I just don't know. And yes, if you're asking if we do need more paramedics, yes, and I believe we do. There's 3 shifts, and I believe that there's 5 at Sequim at most times at station. There's 2 in Bland, and there's 2 in Carlsberg. You think about that, that's 5, 7, 9 guys on most of the time. That's really not a lot when it takes a working structure fire, can take 20, 25 guys. And then we say, oh yeah, we have mutual aid from Port Angeles. We do, but it takes time for them to get, imagine how long it takes them to get all ready and get down here to Sequim to give us mutual aid. The Mexican restaurant that when it was on fire, that was mutual aid, and it went all the way down. Thanks.
Mr. Golly?
Mr. Ryan's correct. It's 21 paramedics. The rest are firefighter EMTs, and the differences in their training and their capabilities. As far as not knowing what 4 assistant chiefs do, frankly, I'm not surprised, because I've never seen Mr. Ryan at a Board of Commissioners meeting. They're all open to the public, and he, as any of you, are welcome to attend each and every one. We welcome your input, we welcome your attendance, but I have not seen it yet, so it doesn't surprise me that he's not sure what they're doing.
Any desire on the part of either of you to rebut or add to that?
Yeah, I will say that. Going to those meetings, where they are public, that is true. You have to be placed on the agenda to speak. I mean, those meetings, I have been to them too, but it's run by a different way than I would like to run it. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Mr. Golly, anything else?
If you want to be part of the process, you have to become familiar with the process, and becoming familiar with the process is how the department is run. It's very fundamental to simply show up at the meetings. If you have some input, putting your name on the agenda is a no-brainer. It's very easy, and we welcome any input from anybody who cares to show up. It shows to me that if Mr. Ryan does not care to even attend a meeting, I've been there for almost 2 years and have not seen him at a single meeting. Okay, I got to stop.
We're going to now go to closing statements from the two of you. And we do this in reverse order. From your opening statements, you again have 1 minute. And Mr. Ryan, you first.
Well, thanks for attending and sticking around, and thanks to the league. I would really like to impress upon you that this is a passion for me to do this job. You don't get paid much. It's not about that. It's about bringing the community, together and looking out for everybody. I mean, nobody really looks out for you in the fire district that I think of. I think the firemen and the personnel there are wonderful. There's not a single person there that, as line firefighters and paramedics, not the most wonderful person, but I just think it needs a new management style or something that's actually working for the people and not for themselves. Thank you.
Mr. Golly.
Okay, I just want to say that all of you can rest assured that you're getting very good treatment and protection from the fire department. 85% of our business is medical. We have very dedicated, very trained, very inspired people working for us. It's a very smart group of folks out there, and I'm proud to be with them. We serve the community, and we have to balance your needs with the funds that are available, and we do that in a very careful, meticulous way. This is not something done randomly. There are a lot of very smart people spend a great deal of time doing this. So although the idea of just throwing more boots on the ground may sound like good rhetoric, believe me, if it was needed, we would find a way to do it. We will grow, but we will grow with the community, not ahead of it. That's just simply wasteful.
Thank you both very much.